Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West with the G&E TV. Looking around the things about us, we really find the flourishing part. We find the economy growing up like crazy, and we see the Dow Jones, they get rocketing. Everything looks so positive. Yet, for 2 days in a row, I heard comments made by several news media about the homelessness. Right? The homeless number, as I recall, by 2016 in Los Angeles only, for example, reached to over 46,000. And during the year of whole entire 2017, every time when I talk about poverty, about homelessness, I quote the number 46,000. And to my surprise, when I was listening to the report about homelessness, and this year the number went to 58,000. That's quite a bit. With that as a lead line, I would like to present my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a famous director of Hollywood and a fighter for justice, I call him. Welcome to the show, sir.
谢谢你, my friend.
All right, thank you very much. And I thank you very much for echoing with me on the subject of poverty. We really have to. I know that it is all right to hail for our economic moves, right? And we celebrate our economic revival, whatever, right? But it is also right, or maybe even more right, to think about our poverty, at least to realize, to convince ourselves that we do have a problem of poverty. Do you think you and I are on the same page?
Yes, we are, because you see, unfortunately, we, the people, are totally brainwashed by the corporate and government-controlled media, and we do not realize the fact that millions of our citizens, our fellow citizens, live in abject poverty.
Mm-hmm. That agree. That I really agree. But only I noticed that you use the word of brainwash. What is the brainwashing part, please?
The brainwashing part is that there is a world created that everything is fine and the ugly sides are not mentioned. For example, hidden away in dilapidated ghettos of major cities or remote rural areas of America, you find, as per official estimates of 2016, 43 million people live below the poverty line in the land of the free and home of the brave.
It is very sarcastic to realize that on the land of free and home of the brave, we have that kind of problem. And yet it is a true fact that I know myself, because I go there all the time, right? Every time I need the energy, I go there. I go see the poverty. Though I turn back up a different man, something like that. I know they exist. For example, downtown Los Angeles, if you go on Los Angeles Boulevard, though, the Street of Angels, you see lots of angels. You see lots of homeless angels. They live in boxes, the carton boxes. What they do, they open both ends and put 1, 2, 3, 4 over the body that covers the whole body thing. They live over there, they sleep like that, right? They put campfires by a kind of like a giant drum, whatever. They set fire over there, and poverty, total poverty. And lately it is noticeable, quite noticeable, that along the Orange County River Trail, the Santa Ana River Trail, that you see about several hundred to close to 1,000 of homeless people camping. They say, quote unquote, camping over there, and that they are everywhere. What they did was that they try to move them away, say you don't belong here, and of course, everywhere they go, they don't belong there, right? So that's a problem. Yeah, I do agree with you. What's your total number you just mentioned? About 43 million?
43 million, that's about 14% of the entire population of America.
14%?
Yes.
Versus 300 million, right?
330.
I see.
And of those 43 million, about 20 million are living in what is called the deep poverty, which is even further below the official government poverty rate, and
they call it extreme poverty.
Deep poverty.
They call it deep or
deep,
extreme?
Deep.
Yeah, okay.
And that's they're having a total income of less than $12,000 a year for a family of 4. That is below 1/2 of the official poverty rate, which is estimated at $24,000 for a family of 4. They subsist on a meager $24,339 income per year, which represents the official poverty.
That is
rate.
even better to those when compared to those who have zero income.
Right.
And there are people that have who has zero income. That is the problem, right? And I'm glad that they did not name this group of people as extreme poverty. They say only deep, which means it can go deeper. Right?
That's true.
Am
yeah.
I right?
Yeah.
It can go deeper, and things do go deeper when they have zero income. Though they're done.
But you know what is extremely worrisome is that the state of poverty in the land of the free and home of the brave is particularly abhorrent and scandalous as far as children are concerned. Outrageous government negligence toward innocent children is inflicting enormous damage to millions of kids who continue to suffer, causing a tremendous loss of human resources and productivity of the United States of America.
2 months ago, there was a little call for the epidemic problems arising because they discovered hepatitis number B or whatever.
Hepatitis number
hepatitis
B.
B.
Yes.
And with some efforts whatsoever, they brought that under control. However, they turned to criticize, to punish, to chastise those who aided them with food. Right, of course. And there is a food hygiene, of course. There is always an issue, food hygiene. Yet they aided with a goodwill, and instead of getting awarded, they get chastised. And they are typically the problem we have now. And the fact I'm giving you the example is that we are right leading or misleading. Or we the people are misled or right?
We are misled.
Misled.
We are misled, and you know, these disenfranchised children not only suffer from developmental issues because of malnutrition, as you just mentioned, but also from broken, abusive homes, lack of education, homelessness, and drug abuse, as well as the absence of any stable emotional base in their young lives.
And that's why you have crime rates going up.
Yeah, well, many of these children, you know, do not finish high school. They are jobless and adrift. They wander the streets. Many of them become petty criminals. Tens of thousands are incarcerated for petty theft and misdemeanors.
They end up shoplifting.
Right.
They're doing the wrong thing whatsoever. Yeah, and they get incarcerated.
They are indoctrinated in the life of crime. And when they leave prison, they enter the vicious cycle of committing serious crime.
In other words, this whole thing
is a vicious cycle.
Is a root, like a tree, right? It's a root. If you do not take care of it from the very bottom though, and the tree growing, the branches all over, the leaves all over, and then cutting the few branches or taking care of the leaves will not take care of the problem.
Correct.
Right? So you have to get to really the root problem.
Yeah.
My dear audience, today with my good friend, Chris Nebe, who I trust a lot. I trust for his mindset, because he had the kind of mindset that echoes all the time with me, talking about poverty. Poverty is really a big problem. It's a word, but it shows right in front of your eyes only when we hear so many positive news. Quote unquote, if I take from a term from him, brainwashed, you will not see. Right? That is the problem. Let's take a very short moment out. We come back, we'll find out everything has a reason. There's nothing come out of nothing, right? There must be something coming, they come out of from. Now we're talking about, end of the day, you're talking about money. Where did the money go? Who took the money? All right, things like that. So stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, my dear Angelinos, fellow Angelinos, welcome back to the show. Here in the land we call the land of the free and home of the brave, which is a very beautiful term, very poetic, rhetorically so well done term that we feel the moment we step on it, we feel like we're home. We're finally home. But is that a home for everybody? Is that been equally a home for everybody? That is a question. We do have a problem. Regardless of what caused the homeless problem, they should have gone to apply for a job. That's under the term should, right? They would have that's under the term of would. There are zillions of should, would, could there. But fact is that they didn't. They have not. And yet they are here. Right? For example, in the emergency room, the guy lying in bed, he should have done some exercises to stay in a strong health, right? And if he failed to do so, he ends up. Now forget whatever he should, he would, whatever. You're talking about you have somebody lying in bed, needs some attention. That is the problem we have. With me, my dear friend, Chris Nebe. I really appreciate the fact that he and I always click. He clicks on the issue, and he did some research. According to his research, we developed it into a show. So to my friend Chris Nebe, thank you very much. Thank you for being a fighter for justice. So once again, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. You see, it is in the welfare of those unfortunate and underprivileged children where the billions of dollars that are wasted by Washington should be invested. Mm-hmm. Because it's a loss to the productivity of America if millions of children are not part of the society and are left adrift in this world. Instead, you see, the Anglo-Zionist lobby and the military complex in Washington is wasting these funds in disastrous geopolitics.
What term did you use?
Endless wars. Anglo-Zionist lobby.
No. Well, the lobbyists, how about that? The lobbyists.
Meanwhile, the billionaire president insists on building a wall along the Mexican border, which will cost billions of dollars. This shameful wall is just another blatant manifestation of arrogance and disregard for humanity when it comes to other races and cultures.
Hold on one sec, please. Let's talk about the wall a little later. Right now, I heard some news that, of course, over time, that President Trump is planning on cutting off some of the he cuts the the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is the food stamp, by $19 billion. Was that true?
Yes. You see, the
Yeah. You have that record on your
yes,
script? Yeah.
the billionaire president has not only wants to build a wall, which is a very sad thing in it by itself, but he also has cut supplemental nutrition assistance programs, which is food stamps, by over $190 billion over the next 10 years.
$190 billion.
Over the next 10 years.
Well, okay.
That amounts to a cut of $20 billion a year.
In a situation whereas we have already this many who rely upon the food stamps.
Right. Medicare and the Children's Health Insurance Program budget is cut by $616 billion.
That's even more.
Temporary assistance for needy families, which is called welfare, has its budget cut by almost $22 billion. You see, this very
22 billion is also over a 20 years time span?
10 years.
10 years. 10 years time span, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, 22 plus 616, that's 638. Plus 190.
Yeah.
That's what? That's 800 and 822, 828 billion dollars, right? Cut, which is the money supposed to go to the poverty basket. Am I right? Why would he do so?
But I don't know.
Any clue?
I don't know. It's a very sad story, and it goes on and on in the richest country of the world.
Is it because he needs money for the wall? So now that you mentioned the wall, though,
no, I think
let's put them together.
I think it's the money is wasted for the military presence of the United States of America, with their over 800 bases in foreign countries and other geopolitical misadventures of the United States of America.
Well, you're talking about obviously national defense, right? You're talking about our enemies. So do we have enemies all over the world or what?
I think the Americans are conditioned by the media to assume that since 9/11, because you see, the Americans have the advantage. Basically, they are on an island because they're surrounded by water, and the only land bridge is actually the border of Mexico. So they are conditioned to fear and of new terrorist attacks. So wherever somebody or some nation is suspected of hiding terrorists or being a possible source of terrorism, there are military activities taking place, and usually like in Afghanistan, where I think it's now 16 years, that, is it 16 years?
You mean Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Yeah, the war launched in 2001.
Yes.
Iraq was 2003, that was launched. Well, you go back 2001, you're talking about a war of 18 years.
Yeah, so
Afghanistan.
you see, but this war has never been won. It's very strange. It seems to be that actually America likes to have war because they need it for the existence of the military-industrial complex.
Are you saying that we won the Iraq war?
No.
All right, good. Now we didn't win.
No war.
We didn't win any of those two wars, the recent wars, right?
No.
But there are about two different wars. All right. One says one war for the Afghanistan war. Well, that was our revenge to September 11. We know Bin Laden did it, and then we started a war. As for how we want to end it, that's a different story. For that, we give an excuse.
But the
For the
excuse
second
is very
war,
feeble because Bin Laden was not, he's a Saudi Arabian national and was just hiding in Afghanistan. If I'm hiding in a country, that doesn't mean that I have to attack a whole country. I have to go and find the culprit and then attack him. So that is a very strange
anyway, that's
situation.
another subject for another day, right?
Right.
We're talking about if that one is confirmed to be justified, and the Iraq war, I don't see any. Why?
As far as I'm concerned, both are not justified.
Yeah. Okay, let's take the Iraq war, for example, though. Using the money to wage for Iraq wars, are we able to take care of our own problem, like the domestic poverty?
Of course.
So that is exactly where people get agitated
Right.
every time when they look at the poverty problem, right? Exactly, once again, if I'm going to use a term, my friend Chris Nebe just used, a brainwash. So we are sometimes brainwashed because we do not see this problem, the homeless problem, which represents poverty, could be handled easy because we did have the money. At least we did have the money. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. With my dear friend Chris Nebe, famous Hollywood director, and over the years, while he was doing, oh, by the way, he has a huge credit in the one line of a series. He has 18 wonderful pieces recognized, commonly, internationally recognized with a high reputation, and he's working on another one or another ones. During the years,
You're talking about my Mysterious China
Mysterious
series.
China,
Yes.
Mysterious China, and going in and out of archives give him the opportunity to get into some untouchable issues, and that's why he decided to fight, became a fighter of justice that I love him for. So I believe my audience will take the same take I take. All right. So now let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll find out there is an international situation, there is a national defense, of course, necessary, and there's a world that may not like us, right? How many enemies do we have, and how the enemies are related to our military weapon industries, right? So things are strange. Stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends, lovely audience. Yes, you ladies and gentlemen who are the fellow Americans, welcome back to the discussion about America. We started the whole conversation by looking at our poverty problem. We do have a poverty of about 14% of versus our total population of 330 million, right? And we do find that they are among the 14%, and there is a 41% of them who live under the what they call deep poverty line, which means that for a family of four, they make no more than 12,000, which is almost nothing. And yet, to my finding, there are people who stay on zero incomes, which is even worse. Probably that's why officially they only use the word deep poverty instead of extreme poverty, because the word deep can go deeper, right? So they left some room for themselves to grow. Now, with my friend Chris Nebe, Hollywood director, famous, known for his Mysterious China series of 18 wonderful masterpieces.
Now we are working on film number 19.
Oh,
and it's called
which is what?
Tibetan Medicine.
Tibetan medicine. Oh, yeah. Some miraculous medicine system that people need to see, needs to find out.
Very old and based on the traditional Chinese concept of medicine.
Well, anyway, so I can't wait to see. All right, go. So anyway, that mentioned, he's also a fighter for justice in my eyes, because these many years going in and out of archives made himself available, accessible to, made lots of accessible informations he learned, and he started for speaking for the less advantaged. Right? Now, speaking of poverty, though, he did the finding, and the finding goes on. My question to you is that we're talking about it's all, after all, it's all money, right? So we were talking about we have over 800 military establishments all over the world, though. Do we have that many enemies?
No.
I try to ask very briefly.
No.
Because this is the home of the brave.
No, you don't have any enemies really, and there was a time where America enjoyed great respect around the world. But you see, the American system itself has sort of fallen apart and has become a delusion of private wealth and celebrity cult, while ignoring the realities of public squalor. The American super rich do not only take from the land of the free and home of the brave, but also skillfully plunder the coffers of the rest of the world.
Which means?
From 2012 to 2017, in a mere 5 years, global wealth increased by $37 trillion.
Trillion, with a T.
Trillion, not billion, trillion. The US wealth increased by $26 trillion during that time, largely because of a booming stock market. The rich in the United States of America absorbed nearly 70% of the global wealth over those past 5 years. America's richest 10% represent less than 1%
of the population.
Of the world's adult population, but yet they control half of the world's wealth gain. This cannot be right. But
remember, by the way,
this is a sad fact.
By the way, remember a few years ago they had the 99% movement?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do this echo with the 99%?
It's exactly what it is, and exactly what, you know, whether it's 9% or 2% or 5%.
Where is the 99% movement? It's no longer see anymore.
It has been replaced now by the feminist movement. You know, there's always new things.
You're right.
And these new movements sort of make things forget about reality, what's happening, and among others, that's the poverty issue, because it's something which people don't really want to be associated with.
As you can see, once again, we're talking about your term of brainwash, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now everything you say here represents the concept of the 99% movement.
Right.
Right? Later, it was, well, off the public eye for a reason I don't know. In replacement, we see whoever's life matter, right?
Right.
I say Jack's my life matter, or you say Nebe life matter, whatsoever. And before anybody gets an answer, you started seeing the feminine movement, right? I don't know, the accusations are wrong or right, but I see too many of them right now. It is kind of a public attention, kind of a diversified, and they were distracted, right? So am I seeing something right, or just an illusion of myself?
No, I think you're seeing probably a very smart manipulation of we the people.
It so happened I've been wrong this time. I'm not wrong this time.
Because, no, you're not. You're right.
All right.
Because you see, you need something new all the time, something more exciting than what was the last time. The 99% issue got sort of tired and worn out, so another issue had to replace it to grab the attention of the public.
Mm-hmm.
This way, you keep a discussion going by ignoring the main facts. And the main facts is not only the poverty of adults, the main fact is the poverty of children. That's what is so scandalous, because the poverty in America is dealing or suffers, many millions of children are suffering.
Or do you realize today's children could be adults in the future?
Right.
They could be anybody could be main players on the platform.
Yes, and they will not be, because they are deprived already by malnutrition. Their physical development is not here.
And they represent the future anyway.
Right.
Right? So we should do something before it's too late. Do you think so?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
What do you want to do?
You see, the country, or let's say the people in power, this imaginary 1%, 10%, whatever, have turned this country into a money-making machine powered by Wall Street. They are accumulating more and more wealth through a well-manipulated stock market, while the homeless roam the streets around the financial district of New York. So there's something wrong here. There's some big disconnect, and I don't know how to solve it, because you and we're not going to be able to solve it. We can just discuss it and draw the attention of the public to it.
At least we can point out, right?
Yes, and
we
make
can
people
point
aware
out,
of it.
make it to the public awareness of that what we are doing. Now, you're talking about from 2012 to 2015, the world wealth has an increase of $37 trillion.
Right.
And of the 37 trillion, U.S. takes 26 trillion. So in other words, we possess almost the 70% of the world wealth that was created during the 5-year period. Right. My question, okay, and then you said that most of money represents the stock market.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Starting from, take Dow Jones, for example, from 11,000 to all the way to 26, right?
Yes. That's not natural.
By the way, I have no economical background. I really having a hard time understand where the money come from. The money, where do the money come from? Those are problem. My problem.
I have a similar problem because I don't have any stocks at all.
Okay, now, let me finish. Good. That's a good point. If you say the United States wealth has a $26 trillion increase, and that United States takes benefit from other countries, right?
Yes.
Well, that is understood. You were talking about the world wealth has also increased.
Yes.
Right? How can you increase world wealth altogether? Who loses money to you?
So far, nobody is losing money because the stock market is going so well. But you see, what goes up goes down. And I'm here with predicting for everybody who owns stocks to be very careful, because there's a big crash coming.
You think so?
Yes.
All right, that's scary. With that warning, we want to wrap up this segment. We'll come back to talk about it. With me today is my good friend, Chris Nebe, political commentator. I call him Fighter for Justice. And by the way, he is a very well-known, internationally renowned director for lots of wonderful films. His Mysterious China series has 18 episodes, right?
Yes.
And he's working on his 19th, which is add up the whole thing, the Tibetan medicine. All right. Anyway, I call them drugs. Anyway, all right. Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll find out with the money. Where do the money go? Where does the money go in total? And let's see how does it work with everybody else, such as industries or of weapon industry, all right, or whatsoever, or real estate industry. Stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. I'm getting better. I started to feel better because there's a term which I always use. If you can't find it, follow the money, right? Now we have the poverty problem. By following the trail of how things will happen, we came to a point to look for the money, right? With me in the discussion is my friend Chris Nebe, and a fighter for justice, I call him. It's a nickname though, but it really speaks how he is in my mind, and to a lot of my audience, he is the same way. Now, question, please. Where the money goes is a bigger question. If you want to ask a bigger question in a small way, though, where $26 trillion is not a small thing. It's a big one, right? And a big one. And the worst of several countries in total, right? Where did the money go?
America spends billions to defend itself against imaginary enemies while ignoring the rising poverty in America. Fear is skillfully instilled in we the people by a well-oiled propaganda
by who?
Machine of a corrupt media.
I know, by who?
By those who rule this country. Because you see, when you are in fear, because increasingly in America, in the American unequal society, freedom, as well as we the people, has become distorted and abused concept which lost their once cherished historic meanings. They were the noble cause of Americans was freedom and we the people. This is what this country was built on.
To some extent, I'm very scared because, for the terms that you have used so far, I think that there's some unsatisfaction in the reality. I don't think we are totally done. We're totally finished. We still have lots of hope. I only want to point out. I only want to point out. You mentioned something. Imaginary enemies. What do you mean by that?
Imaginary enemies are people who are supposed to not agree with American values, who have different economic concepts, who are a source of terrorism, etc., etc. The list is endless because it's being created always to situation which fits.
Those are man-made enemies.
Exactly.
Am I right?
Media-made enemies.
Why media? Why would media make enemies?
Because media, in many ways, is the voice of those people who want to control, we the people.
In other words, money can control media.
Absolutely.
When money, whose money? Let's follow the money, yes.
The money of those who make money by controlling the masses.
You're saying that it looks that you're pointing fingers to the ones who need money, who need money to make money. They want to create a environment that you have enemies around you.
They have already created. It's not that they want. There is already that environment being created, and that is indirectly also the source of poverty. Because if you would have not this inequality, you wouldn't have this drastic, dramatic poverty, which doesn't make sense. Because if you walk outside, you don't really see, okay, you see some homeless, but this is the extreme form of poverty. But there are a lot of poverty hidden away behind.
Let's hang on to the question to make a point clear, all right?
Yes.
Okay. I can do your way. I can answer my own question. And with you helping me, we can even develop further.
Yes.
Okay, now, I give you an example, right? Now, taking Iraq War, for example, right? The Iraq War made somebody rich. Who?
Yes.
Who? Contractors. And who are the contractors? You heard any name Halliburton?
Yes.
Halliburton. You know who is the biggest owner of Halliburton?
Yes.
Who?
Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney, yeah.
Dick Cheney, right? So, by following that trail, you would find the answer. Why would we have to?
By the way, I don't know if he's the owner, but he was the manager.
I haven't seen the stock. I haven't seen the stock certificate, but I read articles about it.
But let's say he's just the face, you know.
It could be that way.
Thousands of
could be that way. Could be that way.
Who are pulling the strings, yes.
Somebody is the owner. Has to be the owner of that company, who benefits from the war. Now, I'm talking about. Suppose if there is another Iraq war, though, they'll continue benefit.
Of course.
Right? Now, is that the way why we have that many imaginary enemies?
Right.
All right. That's the point. Yeah, go back, please. Yeah. That is the point. Yes.
So you see, this in America also there is this exceptionalism created, and this perceived exceptionalism is turning the country in the most unequal and racist society in the world.
That I need evidence. That I need
evidence. The evidence.
Backup,
just look at the poverty. There is a blatant evidence. Instead, America should provide a model for the world in how to treat all of its citizens with dignity and alleviate poverty.
You're right. In certain area, I agree that there's inequality, and there's abuse of power, there's abuse of money. But as a country, in whole though, as a whole, I don't think we're that much. Or something wrong, for example.
I don't agree with you.
You don't?
No, I don't want to get into detail right now, but I mean just take police shootings.
For example, right? Okay.
Just take them. There are so many, and poverty, I mean, if you have 14%, don't forget, there was a time where America was the image everybody wanted to be like America. And now that has changed dramatically.
Time develops.
Yeah, but in a negative
Over time,
way.
we change.
Just imagine a billionaire president wants to build a wall.
In a billionaire way.
We all know walls don't work. Just take the Berlin Wall. It didn't work.
All right. Berlin Walls came down to 1989, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, 89, and we're doing another one. Right, we're doing a new wall. Anyway, that's away from the subject of poverty. However, a wall needs money, right? That's the logic.
Billions of dollars to do that. Why not make instead of making an issue of a wall, make poverty an issue, and say we need to alleviate poverty in the United States of America.
All right, and that's a good call. That's a good call. My dear friend, thank you for watching this show. We're a little over time. I have to hurry up, and we're not done. We want to continue, arrange a next show for that. How's it related to quote-unquote fascism whatsoever, if you want to mention it. Anyway, with my friend, Chris Nebe, we are touching base with you with the poverty problems that we have, which costs money, which is squandered in a way that we, the people, do not believe is right. All right? So thank you very much for watching. And to Chris, thank you very much for being a fighter. Thank you very much. 谢谢你。